Hey guys, it's me, Kelly. Welcome, 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 welcome back. I guess it's been a while since I've done an interview. So we've got Barry Littleton here. He's one of your favorite people in the whole wide world to come on here and to interview. You guys request him back, I think, more than anybody on this show because he's got such interesting information for everybody. So I'm going to be monitoring the chat room over here while we're doing this show. The first hour is going to be broadcast on YouTube, and then the show in its entirety, including the last of the show, is going to be on Patreon only. So just let you guys know that up front. Anyway, without further ado, here is Barry.
Salutations. What's happening? How you doing? Technical difficulties out of the way. I think we're...
It happens every time with us. What is going on with that? Why does that happen to us?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I've got what I call my normal technical difficulties and my issues, the normal ones that I'm used to on my computer, because every computer has a personality, right? So I had a failure on my computer that's not normal. I mean, I had a complete and total failure where everything just kind of starts going slowly, it shuts down, and Chrome is not responding anymore, and it's like, well, crap. So I had to completely redo everything. So you were having problems as well.
Yeah, just getting on Chrome seemed to be extremely difficult when it shouldn't have been. Yeah, I don't know. Weird things. I think also since the eclipse itself, there's been such an odd solar radiation coming in that it's caused a lot of technical difficulties. Not to mention, I find it interesting that we both had, their dogs barking all around.
Yeah, mine won't stop.
They won't stop. And I don't have any canines, but the ones over there were sure barking, getting on my nerves. But that's nonetheless, it's just, interesting, the frequency thing of something going down. That's what I would say,
The tones, that's what I call them. I don't know if anybody else calls them that. The tones, they're not my ears, they're my head. They've been worse ever since the eclipse. It's almost nonstop. In the evenings, it gets a lot louder. So why is that happening since the eclipse? I've noticed it a lot more. Or is there correlation, or is this just coincidence?
I think it's solar radiation. It's all solar radiation implies also cosmic radiation, which bombards everything, shoots right through us. And for any sensitive, when that's going through your biofield, it's going to affect you quite a bit. You know what I mean? That's and it's kind of like maybe like, it's like I always get pictures or lines or scenes from movies will come through sometimes. It's like the first Superman with Gene Hackman and Christopher Reeve. He's standing up there trying to be Clark Kent in his ear. The E, because he's going like, Superman, you're the only thing not on four legs that can hear this. And kind of lured him out. But I mean, it's kind of like that type of a frequency coming through. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know. But you see a lot of things going on with that also. I mean, since the eclipse, you're seeing murderous people come out of the woodwork. I mean, they're showing their colors right now. A lot of people you see that are going insane. Also, you're seeing a lot of these demonic personalities getting thrown on Front Street. You're seeing that a lot right now. So that's, it's interesting nonetheless, a time to definitely pay attention and be aware, if nothing else.
Absolutely. And I don't know if this is a connection at all or not. I have no idea. But it really reminded me of these tones. In my Patreon, I do a lot in my Patreon, and I've been doing a lot of remote viewing just for fun. So I thought, okay, I'm going to remote view Saturn just to see what is going on with Saturn. So I went and remote viewed Saturn, and I heard these sounds. It was like the sound, and then I mimicked it for who I was talking to. For the audience, I made that sound to them that I was hearing. And then someone said that Saturn actually does make sounds. And then I'm like, what? So I went on YouTube, and I found a video. It's like the sounds of Saturn or something like that. So I heard exactly what I was hearing when I was remote viewing or tuning into the energy or whatever you want to call it. I heard that, and it had some other sounds that I didn't hear, some kind of lower tones and different things. I didn't hear that, but I heard the high-pitched ones. Does Saturn have anything to do with this stuff as well? on some level.
Well, let's talk about Saturn a little bit. All right.
Yes, let's talk about Saturn, because that was, I wasn't expecting the squeaky noises coming from Saturn.
I'll bring this up because it's very interesting, because I deal with, in these communities, like you've got the UFO community, you've got the New Age community, but you've also got different ethnically, they're completely different. The melanin dominant community is much different than kind of the Caucasian slash of type, you know what I mean? It's just different. So in the melanin dominant community, there's a book that got really famous. And it's interesting to me because when I first started having experiences as a kid, and I was actually able to, my mother let me go up to the library. There's a library extremely close to where I lived, within biking distance, you know. So when I was able to biking, I was able to take myself up there, and I would get guided to books. And now I know why. One of the first books I was guided to, there were two of them. Excuse me. One of them is Somebody Else is on the Moon by Raymond Bernard. Okay. And that was long before Richard Hoagland's books and information came out from NASA. All right. But that was very interesting because it showed different things on the moon, machines, and different telemetry and pictures that had not been seen normally. And the guy's saying there's people on the moon. So anyway, that's one. And the other book at the very same day I was guided to was called The Ringmakers of Saturn by Norman Bergen. And he's gained a lot of popularity now amongst melanin dominant experiencers because of something that he said.
The Ringmaker of what? I'm sorry, I was trying to write all that down.
Saturn.
The Ringmaker of Saturn. Okay.
Now, anybody that looks at that book or actually tries to go get a copy of it, I will say this. What's in the book is it's a lot of telemetry. So it's kind of hard to understand.
Okay, you know? What's telemetry? Let's.
Telemetry, the satellites are taking the pictures, the images of different things, and like the angles of them and the degrees and all that. It's just kind of difficult to understand a little bit, you know. But the main thing, what he's saying is, in the rings itself are these ships, and they're showing pictures of them that are like miles long. When I say miles, like hundreds of miles long. And he's saying that they're either mining the rings or creating the rings. That was his theory. Now, what he got really famous amongst the brothers is that he had said something. And a lot of times people, I think, aren't listening to the video. He interviewed with Carrie Cassidy, who a lot of people have problems with. He seems to not want to touch anything black. So a lot of people have problems with her. I'm not going to touch that right now. But anyway, she interviewed him, and he had talked about what was actually a ship that had come down in a naval shipyard, like a shipyard they had, and this was some type of a saucer. And out of this saucer out of this ship came 7 foot, 8 foot tall black people that look somewhat like melanin dominant people, that look somewhat like what we call them the Moors, the way the Moors are dressed. Those long type of outfits, they look similar to that. And that they came out of this. And it kind of becomes funny because Carrie Cassidy tried to downplay it when he says that their black people came out of there. And she says, "Oh, you mean brown people?" Something like that. And Norman Bergen goes, "No, they were black."
So how do you spell Moors? Is it Moors? Is that Moors?
What's that?
And the Moors, the Moors. I was looking up terms as you were talking. These are like Arab or like Islamic Moors of the Arab descent. Is that who you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And you also have certain Ethiopian brothers, Ethiopians, they wear similar outfits to that also, to where these gentlemen were described. So it takes us on the whole thing of black extraterrestrials. But actually, so everybody's saying that maybe that he was saying that that's what's on Saturn. It's black people on Saturn. That isn't what he was saying exactly. He was saying that that's what got out of that ship. They didn't say where that ship came from. But on the flip side of this, all right, let's have some fun with this. You and I are very close to the same age. And somebody that was out when we were kids that, you know, my brother's in his 60s now. So he's a great deal older than me. But he is a jazz musician. And used to sneak and look at a lot of his albums and stuff like that. You remember that, Kelly? Back when we had albums and 8-tracks.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I remember 8-tracks.
I remember 8-tracks.
Yeah. But I would look at his albums, and he had an album called "Space Is the Place" by a brother named Sun Ra. Sun Ra was his name, and Sun Ra on this album, but also he would come out like during his performances with these this hat on. These kind of weird, crazy hats with all these balls on them and stuff. Now dig this. Sun Ra said he was from Saturn, and that that hat he had on represented some of the moons of Saturn that had not yet been discovered. And he's right on that. Saturn has like 30 moons or something. Okay, not just Titan and the ones we hear about all the time. There's like 30 moons around Saturn. So that's just something else to put us into, just something to put in perspective. And he was a musician. He was playing all these weird, crazy sounds.
It's like, I'm seeing a lot of black and white with this guy.
Sun Ra?
Yeah, he's like black and white pictures. Was he from like a while back, or does he just like black?
Well, I mean, we would have been kids, but it's my brother's era more than ours. But
So back in the days of black and white is what it looks like.
If you look up Sun Ra, Space is the Place.
That's what I'm looking at.
You'll get some colored pictures will come out. They look some of them with the Pharaoh thing on. He's like shooting lasers at his eyes. Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, I see some of that. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. These are just things that are interesting to toy with and to actually think about, you know. But I will say this, all right, just to connect something. I had an experience, and I put up a video on YouTube about it. It's one of my later adult onset experiences that created a lot of missing time. And during this missing time, I had encountered these Andromedan council members, these little blue guys. I mean, this was physical. These guys are little. They were like, man, 2.5 feet tall, I'd say, is pushing it. They're very little. And there were other beings there as well.
But skin like ours? Blue skin that looks like ours, only blue, or different texture?
You know, it looks similar to ours to me, you know, but not it didn't. These guys, I've been asked a lot if they look like they were synthetic. I'll show a picture of that later. Actually, I'll show a picture of that later.
Okay, cool.
That's on YouTube also. But I've been asked a lot. Didn't they feel like they were robots or androids? No, they didn't. They felt like living beings to me. They were very affectionate. I could feel their energy like that. They didn't feel like machines. You know what I mean? Anyway. But what they had told me in this room during this bio reconfiguration on this bio bed, they had shown me that they were from the Andromeda galaxy. But what they showed is, you know, that's a spiral. And they showed a spiral, one of the arms, that they came from one of the arms, the outer arms. And then they showed me what appears like what our science calls Magellanic clouds, star clouds, like these type of clouds, Magellanic clouds. They're showing me this. But they're actually more than that. There's some type of portal, a fissure. And what they do is they can enter those. You've got beings that can enter those physically or in these ships, all right? And when they enter that, the exiting aperture of this star cloud, this Magellanic cloud, is just outside the orbit of Jupiter. So they get delivered just outside of that. And they talked about how close it's already in this solar system and how it's very dense for them. And they can get trapped here. The density is a big problem with the solar system for a lot of entities that come here.
This is my caveman way of showing pictures. Is this the Andromeda galaxy right there?
Andromedan, yeah. So like, if you look at the corner, see where that blue star is over there, kind of in the corner down there? Go up a little into the cloud there and just on the edge. Yeah. It would be from around in there somewhere. One of those spiral arms. You gotta remember that when we say, hey, they're Andromedans, that's a huge galaxy of billions and billions of stars. So we say it's an Andromedan, you know, that doesn't mean a lot. It's kind of like, let's say, I have a joke I get out. It's like saying we're from the Milky Way, okay, right?
Exactly.
If I go to another galaxy and I say, hey, I'm a Milky Wayed. I'm from the Milky Way, so I'm a Milky Wayed. What does that mean? That's like 1,000 billion different places I could be from within the Milky Way. It doesn't mean anything. So I mean, so you know what I mean? It has to be, and then we're dealing with dimensional aspects. It's all not what it appears to be. I'm disappointed when I look at modern ufology, especially, and a lot of the modern New Age stuff, and I see how generic a lot of it is. And I talk to people that claim to be experiencers, but they have nothing but this generic stuff you hear in the media. Mm-hmm. And I can tell the difference. People don't realize when you come up on somebody like me for real, that's really been on one of these ships, several of them, and it effed with my life. It effs with your life when you're missing time for real, and you know you're there physically. You can't think about nothing else. And there's certain things that are telltale signs of people that have been through it, and I can recognize them, and so can other people like me. So when I hear a lot of these people in the media giving these great stories, man, oh, a secret space program, Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones were on me, they erased my mind, oh, Mill Lab, oh. A lot of that is suggestion. It is suggestion that is given through the media that is really messing with people's real contact experiences. We have to remember how there is a divine field, and there's certain beings that are operating through that divine field and interacting with our brain. It's a big deal. You know what I mean? And during that time, you've got others that are infiltrating in there with auto-suggestion of abduction, which is obvious down here. Look at it down here. There's so much evil down here going rampant that it's easy to fall into that and just get entrenched in it. But for real clairvoyant people, like so many people listening to us right now, with real gifts and having real experiences, that creates the generation of fear. It gives us the fear and kind of the auto-suggestion to mess with the real beings that might be trying to contact you. It could be angelic forces. It could be other things you're not able to discern because you've already got this auto-suggestion going on of negativity. You know, I'm just bringing that up because the more I look at the research done by the free organization, which I used to post all the time, you know, they've got 4,000 people that took that now, and you can't just dismiss all of them. A lot of people, like even myself, only took the first 2 phases. The next 2 phases, like, man, that's a lot of work. It's serious, and people that are lying aren't going to want to go through it. Period. You got some of us that are real experiencers that almost don't want to take all those questions and take two days to do a survey. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's real what they're discovering. You know, they even discovered something I'm going to throw out there. I hear everybody talk about those reptilians, and that's cool because I've not experienced them. Okay, so I can't make that judgment one way or the other. But it's interesting how a lot of that, you got 4,000 people saying that they had not negative encounters with them. They weren't like dissected. They weren't none of the things we hear about. Why is that? And it's easy for me to say because, like I said, I've not experienced them. But I'll tell you, Kelly, you've known me for a while now. I represent this part of the people that has positive experiences. My experiences were very positive, and they were lifelong. And even when they started stopping, I still get information and things. They still communicate with me, but they don't always physically come get me anymore. That stopped at a certain age. You know what I mean? In my late 20s, that kind of stopped. And I think I know why, because that's just a different phase of the contact I was going through with different types of beings. You know, but anyway, they were all positive contacts, and a lifelong contactee, I didn't want them to stop. I wanted to increase these things. I tried to make them happen more, and it didn't work. They only happened when they wanted to do it, but whatever.
Oh, okay.
You know, yeah, but I mean, so that's just one of the things these studies find out. And that's not common to somebody who's been abducted. Never did I get abducted and did they take me completely against my will or try to put anal probes in me, or there was no sexual connotation to any of these encounters.
Just kidding.
Well, no, you know what I mean, though, man. There's a lot of cats that got some sexual stuff going on, man. Like, poor David Huggins, man. You know, he had a lot of stuff happen to that cat, man. I'm glad, thank God, my experiences did not have a sexual connotation to them. Yeah, not needed. You know what I mean? I have enough issues with just Earth women. You don't need to send all the gray beings with me, the females. No, thank you. That was a joke, anyway. I'm sorry, but it was a corny joke. Oh
man! So you had some experiences. Holy crap! There are some people in the group. These are my Patreon peeps who are watching this live. oh gosh, we got a lot of people in there, and they said that they were sending positive energy to get this connection going and to keep the connection going. So thank you very much, my Patreon peeps, for doing that. This is really exciting, really exciting. Yeah, in the second hour, I heard you said effed up. In the second hour, you can actually curse. You don't have to refrain from cursing, because that was on Patreon.
I don't want people to think I suck any more than I already do, man. They'll say, golly, that guy talks like a sailor, man. I'm always trying to mask that.
A word or two has popped out. It's not very often, but a word or two occasionally pops out on Patreon when it feels appropriate, when I'm talking about something I'm passionate about. Sometimes it slips out. So I've got a question. How much do you know about the souls?
The souls?
Like the soul. Like, when I was looking at someone, I typically see something very, I don't want to say standardized, but this human experience. And when I look at the human soul, I see a general shape. And although they're all different slightly, you can tell that this is a human soul. I saw someone yesterday that doesn't have this human soul-like thing. They've got a crystal on the inside. I saw this, what I call a light stick, inside people. Like, ours is kind of like a more stick looking. Like, on hers, it looks almost like a Hershey kiss. It was shaped like that, the white part of it. And it was like this crystal in there. And then on the outside, it was encased in like an egg, but it was all technology. And all of the emotions and all that were there. It was farther out from the body, maybe 3 feet or so, where the emotions were. And I had a difficult time working with this person. And we finally figured out how to do it, how to move emotions around and how to help this person, because they were implanted as well. So what is going on? I didn't see.
What? From what?
Well, there were some things that were implanted. Let me think, because I can't really, say what it was, because working with people. This was connections to crafts that were like constant, solid connections, and stuff I don't normally see on other people, that I don't really exactly know what it was doing to this person. But
the craft.
Yeah, one of them was a craft that also reminded me of Battlestar Galactica. It was thin and very wide, but very, very thin.
This is what I'm getting, all right? That might have been a group of beings that sometimes was termed the Etherians. And some of their craft can be miniature. And we need to think about the miniaturization of contact, and some civilizations that have taken what we call, I think it's Browning's law with the resistors that go onto a silicon chip, doubles each year, they get smaller. I mean, you start going to not just nanotech, but what we call pico technology, which is like actually how nanos can be put together. I mean, that takes us into a whole nother type of civilization. So you have a lot of civilizations in that way that they've constructed what science calls a Dyson sphere, which is actually something like a Death Star, or something like on Star Trek, a structure over a star, over the star and the planets around it. So it's like there'd be a structure over.
No, hold on. I hadn't heard of that concept. Oh, okay. So you construct something around a portal or a star. Like,
no, it's more of a think of it as an engineering structure, like a spear. That is actually around the star itself, but around the planets in the solar system. So for us, it would be like a spear around our sun all the way out to Pluto. And in that way, we start harnessing, that's the type 2 and 3 civilizations, we're harnessing the power from our own sun. But also, when you start thinking of how the resistors get smaller, and we start going into things like pico technologies, everybody's into nano right now, nanotechnology. But really, pico is smaller than the nano. All right. So if you start going into pico, and civilizations that may exist in that way, they're not even going to explore creation by going extragalactic like we're going to do. They're going to go inside. It's a whole nother gig going on. And we need to really start thinking of that when we start thinking about advanced type 2 and 3 civilizations and where we could possibly go in thousands of years. You know what I mean? Or millions in this case. Sorry, I think I got way off from what we were talking about there.
I'm just still trying to
What were we talking about initially? I think I just totally blew.
You blew my mind, and I'm trying to just get a concept of what you just talked about. Okay, the structure. Okay, wait, what dimension? Or is it in a dimension?
It could be it could be third dimension. They think they, you know, there's some reports that they thought they may have found one of these mega structures way out, somewhere past Alpha Centauri or something. But they thought they may have found one of these mega structures. I don't know that it was verified or anything, but
is that happening to us? Like, is that currently over our sun and something else that's blocking the sun? Is that what is going on?
Not to my knowledge, you know, but what's
I'm trying to figure out where our sun has gone. That's what I'm trying to do, is figure out where our sun has gone.
What's most interesting about the sun, let's throw something else out. And I did a video about this that some people watched, what's called diffuse regions, okay? Diffusional regions of the sun. And what it is the sun has, you know, this electromagnetic field of the sun and the electromagnetic field of the sun and the earth, I'm sorry, where they come together, when they meet. Where they meet, it creates these portals that open up for like 6 or 7 minutes, 4 minutes, and then they close. Okay, and this has been recorded by satellites. It's data on this. It's not just me talking. Okay, they've recorded this. But really, in reality, those are going to be wormholes that can be accessed by any advanced civilization. So they're naturally occurring all the time. And you know, people can go to the Soho website, the Soho, and actually it's kind of hard to manipulate because it's got all the, but if you go into Soho, you can actually look at the different spectrum. It records the sun. It takes pictures like every 15 seconds or every 30 seconds, something like that. So you can go in and look at the sun and look at watch it rotate by just setting up the film or looking at different spectrums. But a lot of times you can see these ships going in and out of the sun.
Yeah, I've seen those. That's why this is like freaking me out a little bit. I thought they were in other dimensions. I didn't know there was like 3-dimensional stuff doing the same thing.
Well, there's nothing better. There's no better portal than the sun itself. But the thing is that, you know, if you look on there, you can get on YouTube and look at some of the major solar flares that were Earth directed. And there seems to be something in the middle, like blocking it. And what that would be, well, it's a Legion ship that would be about the size of, it looks like almost a Jupiter or something, blocking an Earth directed solar flare. So they've been, a lot of different alliances have been helping Earth in different ways. They just don't come down here and do what people want and run our destiny for us. You know, anyway, those are just things people can research themselves. It takes it beyond just you and I talking. Go to the Soho website, look at it, learn to look at the different spectrums. You can look at the gold spectrum, the yellow, the green, different spectrums of the sun. It's very interesting what you'll see. I mean, if you set it up long enough, you can get to where it actually turns for, you can look at, you know, a day or two of it. It's very interesting. You can stop it and see these things coming in and out.
Awesome stuff. I had somebody send me some pictures of, they called them UFO clouds, but to me, they look like pillowy pastries, I guess, in the clouds. So what these are in another dimension? Is that right? They're up there in another dimension and they're causing an atmosphere around it, or are they using the atmosphere around them and hiding in it?
You remember our discussion, don't you? That's cool. Yeah, those are lenticular clouds, or what they're called, lenticular clouds. And what I've seen, once again, that's on my channel. You can look at, I did a couple of videos on there on orgone technologies that under the playlist. It's under UFO technologies. But what you have is some of these, I've shown a couple of different engines, but one of those engines actually will take like from water and it removes what's called orgone energy, prana energy from the water, okay? And that process, then they use that and convert that into like anti-gravity field and for different power systems. It's pure life energy, okay? That's what powers a lot of these ships. But the thing is that something about some of these engines, when they do that conversion process, extracting the energy from the water, like a lot of times you'll see those, like what they call USOs, you'll see them kind of floating over water. They even seen over people's pools sometime. People seen them in their backyard over their pool, say, there was a UFO hovering over my pool. A lot of times they're sucking that orgone energy out. That's what they're doing. So they're charging up.
Okay.
Okay, so but the thing about it is, check this out, is that something about that process, that conversion process, creates this mist, and they use that mist as like for cloaking, invisibility, and that's what makes a lot of lenticular clouds. And I'll tell you something that I can say from my experiences. Whenever you see one of those, like a cloud, a single cloud that has like rainbow stripes in it, rainbow band in it, I mean, just one out of nowhere, just one that has rainbow band in it, pay attention to that cloud.
Oh, okay.
Because that is another conversion process that is created by that engine. And if you're somebody that likes to bust clouds, like I used to do, you can bust a cloud with the with the radiation from your eyes. A lot of people know how to do that. You can actually take the orgone into your body and bust up a cloud. It'll disappear. Do that to one of those. Has a rainbow band inside of it, and watch the ship go.
Really? Can you see it leave, or
you'll see it?
Really?
When you're messing with your consciousness in that way, you know what I mean, and you're aware of these things, and you have just a different frame of reference to give you to conceptualize things, man, it changes everything. You know what I mean? A lot of people just walk around. It's so hard to pay our bills and deal with these fools at work and to take care of our families that there's no energy left for stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's a shame.
Oh, exactly. And that's kind of the point, right? To keep us so busy and in fear and anger that we don't pay attention to what is really happening. So that this experience feels way too real. It feels way too real, and we buy into it, and we forget that this is just an illusion, that this is just a simulation that we're experiencing. No, we forget it.
To a certain degree, yeah. But then there's a great deal of reality here, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know how enlightened I am, but I challenge the most enlightened person to go. We go stand in front of a tree. I meditate. They can meditate for 3 days, hardcore, in front of this tree. And I want to see them go run through it. You know, that's
I think it's gonna take more than 3 days, because when I moved an object with my mind, it took 2 weeks, at least 8 hours a day, for 2 weeks before I moved an object with my mind. So, you
know, as a child, I would wake up in what some people call the secret school, the mystery schools, but it was this room, and it was like, so it's like I was at 2 schools. You know what I mean? And it made me really tired during the day, like I wasn't sleeping, because I wasn't. You know, but yeah, I would wake up in this other school, and it was, the room was like kind of dark, but there was a table in this room, and the table had like stuff on it, like these balls, these levitating balls. That was like one of the last things you had to do. But then there was other things there, like a bowl of water, some feathers, and these are things like you had to start off by like moving the feathers with your mind, and then you have to try to stir the water with your mind and move the water with your mind. Okay, like a scrying, but more than that. And then the third thing to do was start manipulating these balls. These balls look like metal steelies, ball steelies, and you could have to make them do tricks. You could do it, but you have to do it with your will. It's a very odd deal. And I had a teacher in there, but I could never see the teacher. I could just feel him sometimes. I know what I was in there to do, you know. And then at another point, I had to go in there, and I saw other students there. For a long, I can remember going 5 or 6 times. But I can't remember seeing students but the last time. And I got frustrated for the very reason I could do this stuff in this mystery school, in this night school. But I go to my regular school here during the day, and I'm sitting up there trying to move a pencil with my mind. And it ain't going nowhere. Man, that pissed me off, man. So I started saying, why am I going to that school? What the heck is the reason to doing that if it doesn't work here? There's no point. So that I went around these other students, and they wanted me to like do some of these tricks with them and show them. And I said, no. Why? It doesn't work over there. It doesn't work at the other school, and I never went back anymore. I don't know that. But, you know, I got asked by some people, said, man, I don't seem to remember you or something. But, you know, I will say the people in this school, when I saw these other students, they weren't like hybrids. They were humans. They were kids like me. Just a little younger than me, though. You know, I was probably 7, 8. They were probably around 5, I'd say, most of them.
So what dimension, I don't know if that's the right question to ask, what dimension is this school in? What, is there a location for this? Is it completely mental, a place you go to mentally?
No, this was physical, this place was. So I'd say it's on one of these craft. It's on something. Some of these ships are so huge, you know, and it, you know, I've shown like one ship, I've shown like every room that I can remember in it on my videos. All right. And it really takes us to a different level when we start talking about spatial geometry, because a lot of these rooms will move around you. So not just are you feeling sick on board this craft, there's a certain mist you're breathing that's hard to breathe. All right. And then, you know, like this one of these rooms, it looks like almost garage door windows are on this organic wall. They're just kind of around in there. And no one's making me do anything. So I'm dizzy as heck, but you know, I'm nosy, I'm curious. So what I do, I go up to look, see what the hell's in that window. Come on. So I go look, when you go look in there, whoop, you're in another room. Bam, you're there in another room. And then that aphasia, that sickness gets even 3 times as bad. Oh. See, it's really bad. And that's why people say, like, you know, they say I listen to those people that, oh, I went to this galaxy, that planet. Like they're on this ship for just a long time. The ships I've been on, and I was much younger then, even better shape. I would not have survived there long. It's that simple.
Now, when you were talking about you would get close to those windows or whatever, the garage door window looking things, do you think it was because you got in the proximity of it? That's my internet going down over there. Because you got in the proximity of it that it pulled you in there? Or did it go on your intention? I intend to see, therefore you go there with your intention.
I mean, I didn't intend to go in there. I was just being nosy. The same way if you see a dark window that's kind of your eye level and you pass by it, or it's just near, I'm one of those people. I want to see what the hell's in there.
well, the reason I'm asking is because when I go onto these ships or these crafts with people, whatever you think happens immediately. So that's why I was asking if you were thinking what is on the other side that you might have accidentally transported yourself. So that's why I was asking about the technology. Is that the way the technology works, or did you just get too close?
I think I got too close. Yeah, I got too close. Because the sickness alone would make me not want to move very fast anywhere in there. You know what I mean? And it was hard. You know, although I'm not being hurt or escorted, so to speak, there's not much I could do because I'm jacked up, man. I mean, I'm walking around, it's like the worst nausea type. You know, some people said, does it feel like being on a ship, like that kind of being seasick? A little worse than that. A little worse than that. You know what I mean? Because eventually it starts messing with your synapses. You're just going through this. You know, I can only tell you what they called it, okay? These beings called it. They said the temporal distortment leads to temporal aphasia. I've said this in a few interviews now. And the temporal aphasia is when you're off, like sensory aphasia. You're off. It's hard to think straight. It's hard to not throw up. You know what I mean? Excuse me. And it messes with your synapses. That's kind of what that is. And the longer you're in that environment, the worse it gets. And the reason this happens is because I'm sure after that, the ship that I see on the outside, when I saw this thing on the outside, it's maybe, I'd say 150 feet, something like that. Less than 200 feet, definitely. It was a saucer. But inside, I'm in rooms that were bigger than that alone. Okay, so the outside and the inside of the ship are not in the same dimension. And that takes us into the whole Doctor Who type of concept. All right, but at the same time, that's necessary because those beings inside, they need to maintain an environment that is feasible for them and for us. So I know it was hard for some of them. You know, if anyone else looks at some of those videos I've done, I showed another one that on this ship has a couple different ships, these eggs, these huge eggs, and they're like these lights in them. And I assumed at first that they were like power sources, these eggs, but I noticed a lot of these crew members, like the ones that look like the being called Mana with the reverse brains, they're all looking at these eggs. And I'm looking at it too, just because I'm curious, because it looks like glass on the front, and similar to glass on the back, it's like metal of some type. And there are these lights floating around in there, and the mist is even thicker inside those eggs. So I assumed that there was power sources, you know, until I got in that maturation room, and the mother of the hybrids was, you know, she was asking for my help, but the mist in that maturation chamber was so thick. Anybody go to my channel, look at that. The mother of the hybrids, I called her. Caretakers, I guess. I don't know, caretaker of the hybrid. But anyway, the mist in there was so thick that I could barely breathe, okay? And it was really way worse. So the temporal aphasia was way worse in there. And then at the same token, she starts blowing me up psychokinetically, telekinetically. And when I say this, it says a lot about what these beings can do. One is she had huge eyes, Kelly. Her eyes were huge. Even in the illustration I had Christine Dennett, who did all my artwork for my stuff, it's hard to get the eyes as big as they actually were. And when she communicated with me, it's like it pulled my energy body, my dream body, out of my physical body, and I smashed up against her eye. It was so strong. And it makes me wonder, like, some of these beings are on a high enough frequency that they can actually bilocate us through the optical nerves. That's what happened to me. You know what I'm saying? And she wasn't trying to assault me or nothing, but she's communicating. She's asking for my help and asking for help with this technology that's 1,000 years ahead of anything we've got here. I'm like, I don't know anything about this. And she's communicating, yes, you do. You helped create it. You made it. You have to help because it can hurt somebody. And I didn't understand, hurt somebody. What are you talking about? What do you mean? And then but I get so asphyxiating by trying to breathe there, by her smashing me telepathically, by the dizziness. I'm not much good. You know what I'm saying? And I'm to a point to where I'm about to pass out, okay? This is going to be a terminated encounter because I'm about to pass out. And these lights come out of one of these eggs, and one attaches here and one attaches here. And they start doing something to my energy field, to my time field, and I start feeling better. And then the encounter ended. After that, I got sent back. But that's so then that's when I realized, oh my God, these lights aren't power sources. They're crew members of some type. They're non-corporeal crew members. And they don't even come out of those eggs very much for the part of the ship that can sustain us for a little bit. That's even painful for them. The density of that. See what I'm saying? We're talking about non-physical beings. So it takes us into the realm of what is it really like to be on a multi-dimensional ship with multi-dimensional beings. It ain't like Star Trek, yo. There's not Sulu over there. There's not Kirk over there. It's not like that. You've got these eggs. You've got beings that are half out of phase. You're getting sick. You know. Anyway, enough. I'm going on some sort of
I don't want to go in there unless they have like Worf.
Worf. You say Worf?
Yeah, you don't remember Worf? The Klingon?
Well, I remember Worf. I remember Worf a lot.
My favorite.
His brother Kern was my favorite Klingon. The brother that also played Candyman.
Was he the real evil one?
It wasn't evil. He just dogged Worf out a little bit. He came on the ship and pretended to be somebody else and dogged him out for being around humans to make sure he wasn't a punk. You know, that's all that was. Oh, Candyman. Anyway. So any questions or anything? Anybody throwing sticks? So people have been mad at me for not getting back with people. I'm doing as best as I can, but I kind of resigned from social media a little bit. The last couple of weeks, I haven't been on it as much. I got a little, burned out. I got attacked a few times. And you can ignore a lot of the attacks, but after a while, you get tired of that, man. I wind up firing back on some people. I don't claim to be a guru or anything. You start talking a lot of crap to me, I'll fire back at you. You know what I mean? I'll fire back hard. And people don't like that. I'm sorry. I don't claim to be that angelic guy like that. There are some that step forward before the angels do and will take some shots and give shots back. But you shoot arrows at me, I'll shoot them back. Sorry. If you're looking for Paramahansa Yogananda, go next door, not here.
I don't know who that is.
What's that?
Is that the yoga guy?
On a serious note, his book, Autobiography of a Yogi. Anybody that hasn't read that book, it's a good one. It really is. And, I was talking to my brother the other day. One of the most, I think, poignant points in that book, he does a healing. He does a healing on a deer. He does, okay? He does a healing on a deer that had been, I can't remember what, if it had been shot or what it was. Anyway, he did a healing on it and cured it, all right? And it ran off. But then the deer started returning to him in dreamscape. And the dreamscape had told him why did you do that to me? I was out of here. All the pain, I was done. I was leaving. And you brought me back. You cured me. Now I've got to go through all this again. I'm still here. Yeah. And so he realized then that, you know, sometimes you let things go. It's just an interesting book. It really is. Sorry, I don't know where we got on that, but anyway.
I don't know. You never know with us where we're going. So hey, Patreon people, if you have any questions for the Barry, we got the Barry here. So start asking questions, and we'll see where to go with it. And in a few minutes, we're gonna switch over to Patreon, where we can kind of do what we want over there in Patreon. And we're also going to talk about the Bigfoot or Sasquatch. We're going to show the pictures of Bigfoot, the recent pictures that somebody took. That was kind of cool. Yeah. We're also going to talk about orbs. You went to ECETI and you saw some orbs that were doing some stuff. So we're going to talk about that, what was going on, that things might not be exactly as they appear. Is that a good way to say it?
Yes.
See what's going on with that. I might show you my husband's costume for Halloween. I don't know. I'll see. I'm debating about that. Once we get on Patreon, I can show you. But I don't know about YouTube. YouTube can't handle that.
What is your outfit going to be?
Where is my outfit over there? I'm going to be a gypsy.
Oh, yeah?
So, oh, my gosh.
Is it as good as the pirate one you had?
Hold on. Let me run get it. Oh, this one. This one's just on I got this one in about...
Now that she's not looking, I know somebody's watching me.
Being at the store, like every year, it takes me so long to get my costumes and everything. And this year, it was so quick. And my husband too. He picked his out. I'll show you his costume. You're gonna die when you see it. It's not anything like you think it's gonna be. So here's mine. Oh God, it's just we have to spare it. You know, it's where I go. I'm not getting paid, first of all, to show this. You were just curious. So this is the. I wish I was getting paid. You know, since YouTube doesn't pay me anymore. I'm like the redheaded stepchild of YouTube. So, but anyway, it kind of reminds me of what I've got on already. Mine is some stuff, but. Anyway, this is fun. And then I got the little skirt thingy with the coins on it and the head thingy, the coin head thingy and all. Oh, you're gonna laugh when you see my husband's costume. It's there's many parts to the costume. I can't say right now. I can't say. But I might be putting makeup on him. That's all I have to say right now. That's all I have to say. This possibility.
Remember the original Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr.? There was a gypsy woman that would give all the advice about what he could and couldn't do about the wolf bane and all that stuff. Her name was Minerva, I believe.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to be gone. Oh, they're talking about what they want to be for Halloween. You're gonna laugh. I don't know if you've been watching my videos. It's very busy, so I don't know if you even watch my videos. But I use this chart in my videos to just discuss. This is not how this looks at all. You know, charts do not resemble reality. But the concept, I drew the concept. Like this is you or your imagination. You know, that part that's you or God. Your imagination, the thing that's always been there your whole life. Like this is what that is before anything was created. And this is like all of creation. So this is God. This is all of creation. And here's your costume.
You all right? You all right? You want to crack it down on me, man? Oh man!
Here's your costume, Mary. I can see you.
Okay.
So I put that as a joke. I put this on Patreon and on my Facebook. It's not this one. I actually went real fancy and did in Photoshopped one, and I've got one for people. So that's what they're saying. They're gonna go as God, and I'm like, people are gonna think you're on drugs. If you go with this costume. But seriously, it's a cheap costume. It's a cheap costume. Make sure to laminate it because everybody's going to want to be God at the party. Promise you. You're going to get a little dirty.
You know, my brother had lived in LA 12 years or something. But for a while he was in close to the Hollywood area over there. He's pumping gas over there, working over there. But he said something very interesting about that place during Halloween. And he said, first of all, is you have so many actors and actresses walking around like everybody, and you've got all these makeup artists all over the place there. So Halloween's really a special thing around that area. And he talked about some people that would have these costumes on that were so elaborate and the makeup was so realistic that they'll just step up and people take a picture with them, they're just gone. But he said, I question how many of those were real, actually not just makeup. And that happens on there. He said, but some of the makeup artists there are so extravagant and so good that no one knows who they are. That, you know, it's just very interesting the way he put it, though. And that's the time that the dimensions are kind of thin, is on Halloween. So, yeah.
Yeah, what is not human that comes here and just pretends to be something dressed up. Very interesting concept.
He talked about something else too, about seeing what appeared to be like these little blue guys or little green guys or somebody in the crowd in like downtown LA, and they just get pushed along with everybody else. But they're looking at stuff going like this, and people just push them along. And he said people just assume that somebody filming a movie somewhere, and they're actors just walking around doing a stint or something, you know. And how often that might happen in New York, I've heard about that too. Mm-hmm. You got a non-human right there just being pushed around with everybody else. Come on, we're going to work. Keep going, you know. Just, you know, things that we overlook.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, there are some very interesting things out there. We've got somebody wants to know, how do you find out what your mission in life is? So what's your advice on that? Do you have a mission, Barry? What's your mission?
Well, for right now, I think the first is to not go insane down here.
Tell me about it.
On this prison planet, to stay healthy, to stay sane would be the two top missions I have. You know, number one is pay attention to things that start materializing in your life. You know, one, like right now, learn what your totem animals are, your totem things. Do you have insects around you? There's a book by Ken Carey called Animal Speaks. Get that one. See what beings are around you, like in your daily life. Start looking that up. Start really meditating. When I say that, ask spirit, ask yourself what your purpose is. But then you got to learn to actually catch the response. And a lot of time to catch the response means you have to stop talking to yourself. Like during meditation or after meditation, just stop the internal dialogue. Don't talk to yourself for a little bit and see what manifests. See what you start getting guided towards. Something else you can do too, you know, if you really want to know that, you can go get, and it's something I'm going to keep pushing because there's certain negative forces, the cabal that doesn't want this done, is people can get hypnotic regression, professional one. You can see what it is you want to target. You can get it recorded to make sure you're not getting implanted with information. You can really go this professionally, all right? But you can also ask your soul. You can ask yourself. You ask what I thought the soul was. I say one thing. I know the soul is something that also retains our soul life memories on our soul line. Okay, and I think we need to have more access to that. For some reason, we don't have a good access to that here on this planet. Most of us, anyway.
I have a picture that some of my silly pictures you haven't seen. This is my illustration of what we're doing. And this does not look like real life, for starters. Does not look like real life. But because, you know, the dimensions are not stacked like this, for starters. So this is not what it looks like. This is just an example. So if you want to think of us, like all of you and me and everybody here that's having this experience, we're like this being, let's say, like this white energy. And then it doesn't look like this. It's looking like a scary mock creature. This should be the Halloween costume right here. So pass through the fourth dimension, which basically creates that. And like I'm just doing like the moon is over here doing its little trickery. And then this is us like in the third dimension doing our thing. So this is just a chart that I put out to kind of illustrate a concept when we talk about, you know, who's who and what's what. But here's where the trickery. You know, it's not tentacles dangling down there, but if you kind of think of tentacles, this is a very dangerous place right here, the fourth dimension. and and the trickery that they do in that place. So that's kind of a drawing. Does that sort of resemble what you were talking about, like in the concept, not in what it looks like?
No, but
Okay. I'm like, no, Kelly, that does not at all look like what I'm talking about.
What that does look like to me, there's an episode, the very first episode of Star Trek Next Generation. The Next Generation was called the Far Point something. But there were these creatures that actually looked a lot like that once they came out of the ground, and they were like these. This race was using them as like a city, like to live as like a resort, but actually they're these living beings. And when they come out and they kind of go off together, they look at the end, they look just like that, what you had there. Very interesting.
Oh my gosh, they look like jellyfish.
Exactly. That's what those beings look like. Yeah. but they were glowing and they were huge. And they had more of a saucer thing.
Oh, that's funny. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that does not look like it at all. There are no tentacles or anything because you're going through dimensions to create stuff. That is just a concept. It's a concept of how things work.
Well, there's when we start talking about things, so quote unquote, the fourth dimension and these other realms right around us, we've got not just extraterrestrials, but we've got deceased people, and also what I call our first cousins. And our first cousins are like Earth awareness, different forms of Earth awareness. And, and other beings that just have always existed here in other dimensions. But the thing about our first cousins is a lot of them don't like us. They don't care for humanity, and they know exactly how to psychologically trick us. And for example, like I noticed something like when I was a kid, and something that tried to make me shut off whatever gifts I might have is like the first time I got attacked by a deceased person. And we have to be aware that anybody that's going to attack a 6-7-year-old kid the age I was, the way the spirit did, oh, that's real tough. That's some type of a bully. And sometimes we have people that are so hateful in their physical body and their nature is so hateful that when they transition, they become something worse.
That's so weird you're talking about that, because that's what happened to me. It was like, and I would see them, they would come up to the side of my bed, and they were in like raggedy clothing and stuff, almost like they came out of the grave is kind of how they would approach me, and they were there to kill me, and I felt like they were going to kill me. It was an attempt to kill me.
This was the old house. Yeah, this is the old house, and it was my uncle was renting it, and when we went down, so my mom, we went down in the basement. They're showing us around in the basement. I mean, they must have had this washing machine and dryer. They're like Maytags first, man. I mean, these things were ancient. But we were down there. It felt weird down there. It was colder, and then it happened. I had a spirit came up and bear hugged me from behind. And you know how it is when somebody comes up and, like, especially when you're a kid, somebody comes up and grabs you, like a football player, when you get constricted like that, you inflate. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And immediately, telepathically, I got told, get out. You're not welcome. I mean, it was decisive. It was very powerful, too. And it was the amount of hate that came with that. I told my mom, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here, And then I was forced probably a week later when my cousins came to town to sleep the night there with the three of them. And we had the two of them. We were in this room, and they had beds set up. And they were like on the other side of the room, and I couldn't hardly fall asleep because I didn't like the house. And then what I actually did, I was kind of drifting off. I look up, and there's this woman looking over at me. And comes over and looks at me, and and then she goes over and looks at my cousins too. And I thought at first, well, it must be the landlord, because the landlord lived upstairs, but she couldn't come down like that. It wasn't that type of a deal. The door was locked, but I assumed that's who it was. When I got older, I realized that this woman, first of all, the way she looks, she had kind of a weird green mist on her, like kind of like weird deal. Mm-hmm. And number two, I couldn't really see her walking, the dress she had on going out of the room. And number three, the big thing, she was trying to look like a religious figure. Like, I think they call it Mother Mary. She was trying to look like that. Yes. That's some type of a deception. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's people be aware of that. Literally, I talked to somebody recently that didn't realize that they were working in a beauty shop. They didn't realize that some of the clients came in and sat down weren't people. They were deceased people until she tried to work on one of them.
I I love that.
Nobody come in and sit down and just wait, like walk-ins, and then they get up and leave before they get worked on.
I love it.
I mean, it's just interesting the stuff that happens to people. You know, it really.
I love it. So we're transitioning into our second hour now. Oh, I know, right? Because we got some more questions over here about hybrid children. Talking about the Godhead, hybrid children, different dimensions. They want to answer some of those questions, and then we're going to get into meat what we were talking about. We're going to show our pictures with the Sasquatch and all that good stuff, and talk about the orbs at ECETI, what they really are, what is really going on at ECETI. We're going to find that out. So if you guys would like to join us with the second hour, the ones that are on YouTube or wherever you're hearing this, if you want to join us for the second hour, you can go ahead and find me on Patreon at Kelli and the Raw on Patreon. You can join me there, and you can see the second hour of all the interviews that I do, in fact. So now we're going to go into the second hour. I'm so fresh, nothing that you seen before, nothing that you seen before.